Okay, guys, you know what to do. It's time to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. For those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. Yes, you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my purpose in life to help you understand that there is something called natural ways to heal. There's natural ways to heal, and it's my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, I've been saying this and I have felt this for such a long time. And just recently we thought we need to find somebody that can help build this bridge or gap that I feel is missing. And it's that with each generation, the importance of tradition, the importance of something special that we hold dear to our heart, something as simple as how to decorate a table, something as simple as how to cut your food, somehow, or how to do a particular trade like knitting and crocheting and all these things, although that isn't part of etiquette, but these are traditions, things that are handed down from generation to generations, somehow are losing importance and they're fading away. I'm seeing children pick up a piece of meat and bite the meat from their fork, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, don't we have someone that can teach children proper etiquette? Well, we just happen to be so lucky to find an expert. Her name is Jackie Vernon-Thompson, and you can find her at FrontFromTheInsideOutSOE.com. And I'm really excited because we're going to talk about how to create the next generation, and even for ourselves, we may be missing some of these skills so that when we go to an event, we're not embarrassed, so that when we go to an event, we feel like we belong. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Jackie Vernon-Thompson is here to do just that. Welcome, Jackie, to the classroom.
Hello, Lillian. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, this is a really, I tried having this show a long time ago. I actually did this a long time ago. We were talking about proper etiquette, and it's been a while. And I thought, we need to start now that I'm seeing children and some of the even millennials and people that are in their 40s have lost the basic etiquette skills. So share a little bit about yourself and how you became an expert in etiquette.
Wow, that's a wonderful question. I love answering this question because I discover that it's actually my purpose. This is why I am here. We teach children and adults proper etiquette. We teach them proper conduct, proper deportment, everything they need to know to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner in all environments. We teach virtually and in person. And what led me to the world, the industry of etiquette, is I got to a point where I felt like God has something else for me to do. I cannot answer this question without giving him credit, because I believe God just led me to it. He literally spoke to me and said, this is what I want you to do. Establish an etiquette school and this is what he said as well. Create a series of etiquette DVDs. This was the Holy Spirit speaking to me one Wednesday night in 2014. And after speaking with my husband about that voice in my head, he said, hey, if God said it, we have no choice but to do it. And as they say, it's history ever since.
The rest is history. You know,
Yes.
when God speaks to us, we must listen.
Absolutely.
I mean, we listen to H&R Block, we listen to whatever the latest in the Kardashians, we listen to whatever is in the mainstream media. But when God speaks to us, we know.
Absolutely.
It is a knowing that it's based from love, not fear. And it comes from our essence. And so it's wonderful that you're answering that call. And I know why you do now what you do, because you're answering the call. And so who was
Absolutely.
that person in your life that taught you proper etiquette, made
It's
that
interesting.
important?
It is an interesting question, because my mom, God rest her soul, was the absolute best mother a girl could ever have. And of course, my 4 siblings. She taught us manners. However, I never used the word etiquette until God spoke to me. Never, ever. Prior to establishing the school, I would mentor girls, young ladies from the church and from the community, and just help them to love themselves and make better choices. I had no idea that God was preparing me for what he had for me. So I know this is my absolute purpose. This is why I'm here, because I'm completely fulfilled once I've conducted a class, because I've elevated an individual or a group of people. I've taught them how to love themselves, how to be kind to others, how to conduct themselves properly, and how to have pride in themselves. So it's all good. So, I can never say that this is not why I'm here. This is why I'm here, because of the fulfillment.
You know and I can tell that this is something that does fill your heart, because it is a lost art. It is a lost art, and that's what I called this show. It's the art of etiquette. And because it is so important that we and whenever my grandchildren are around, we have cloth napkins, we have knives and forks, and we do all these things. And I remember our older granddaughter that's going to be here this weekend, she said, Mimi, he's only 6. It's like, I'm like, okay, what point are we going to learn how to cut our own food? It's very easy for us as mothers to cut our children's food.
Yes.
But at what point do we start transferring this etiquette to our children without getting them frustrated?
Well, it all depends on the technique and the strategy, because I've been teaching a particular preschool group of children for Bethany Junior Academy here in our local area. I've been teaching them since the school year started, and I've even taught them table etiquette, and of course a lot of other protocols in life. But they learned everything.
They do. They want to be told.
Absolutely.
They want to be taught. But who's to say what's proper, what's not proper? But these are traditions that are handed down from generation to generation. Something as simple as setting a table. My girls knew how to set a table, and if they didn't know, they had a drawing and a sketch, and even how to flip the knife one way or another and what it meant. So let's start with our table, because that's where the heart of the home is. Our kitchen, my kitchen, my mom's kitchen, that was where the heart of our home. And we always knew to put our napkins in our lap. We always knew how to cut our knives. Now the kids are like, their hands are backwards when they're cutting it's like, how does that happen? So, and it may be because food is not what it used to be. So let's talk about our table setting. What should that look like?
Absolutely. The table setting is quite simple. If you take the time to teach a child or an adult, because we do teach adults as well, and on the left, you always want to remind the student that forks are always on the left. The only time you would see a fork on the right is if you're having fish and the like shellfish. And the shellfish fork would be on the right. You see a little 3-tine fork at the very least, or sometimes a 4-tine fork. But forks are generally on the left. On the right is your knife and your soup spoon. And it can be 1, 2, 3 knives, depending on the courses you're having. So knives and spoons are always on the right. And this is a secret that many people do not know. When you see a utensil at the very top of your plate, right in front of the plate, that simply means you're having dessert. Those are dessert utensils. And many people are not aware. They're like, what is that for? Is that my teaspoon? No, that's your dessert spoon. So it's really interesting when you set the table. And in my classes, I generally have all of the items on a counter. And once I've taught my students how to set the table, I will allow them to go and retrieve the items and set their own placement. And that's always interesting.
Okay, I've got so many questions for you because this is something so dear to my heart. And I don't know how it was planted, and it could have been my mom, it could have been my grandparents, I don't know. But you know, when you're looking at we're sitting at a really nice restaurant, and you have several couples, maybe 4 or 5 couples with you, and they're sitting down, and all of a sudden there's a bread plate and there's a water plate and there's all these different plates, and there's this discomfort where, okay, where's the bread plate? To the left, you know, it's like you feel like you're doing a little dance, to the left, or to the right, to the right. Grab the knife, grab the fork. So all those things. So let's talk about the other placement, because you talked about the forks, but there's also a bread plate. There's also, you know, so the water glass.
Goblet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so important to know. And I use 2 strategies with my students. One is BMW. Always remember the car BMW. So bread, we start on the left. Bread, meal, water. That's BMW. That's pretty easy. Another thing, because I always like to get my students active, I want them to interact. I have them do this. Hold up the 2 OK signs, right? On your right hand, you see a D. That means drinks are always on the right. On the left hand, you see a B. That means that bread plate on the left is yours.
Good job. That's good.
And they love that.
Yes. And by the way, for those of you that would like a copy of Transformative Etiquette, and she has a copy, look at that beautiful copy. We're going to be giving away, or she's going to be giving away, 1 hard copy and 1 softback to any of you. So if you would like a copy and you want to just stop and go, oh my gosh, now I know where to go to if I want to know about etiquette, something as simple as this. Yeah, this is great. Yes. Okay. So you can text me at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. Your name will be placed in the winner's basket. And this class, we're going to we're going to give it a week because we have all the people who listen through the podcast as well as social media. So on the 21st, which is also the start of our I Am the Solution Weekend Workshop, we're going to draw the 2 names. The first one will be for the paperback, and then or the hardback, and the second one would be for the paperback. So it's 407-373-5959. Text it, get started, and claim your book. Okay. So with that in mind, what are some of other things at a party, at a dinner party, maybe a cocktail party, that you would want us to know that is proper etiquette?
Absolutely. Once you've been served a meal or even a course, it's very important for you to, even if you don't like that certain thing, it's important for you to at least taste it, to show the host or the hostess that you appreciate the efforts they've made to prepare it. And one thing you should never do is compare your way of cooking a dish to their way, because it can very well be an insult. So it's all about appreciation and all about expressing that appreciation and gratitude, because you want to make the host feel good and feel comfortable that he or she is helping out their guests and everything is good and everybody's comfortable, everyone is happy. That's what it's about. And never raise a topic that can be very controversial when you're speaking with the other guests in the room. Always try to make sure that you stay focused on topics that will elevate folks, topics that will make you feel fun, feel like you're having fun, and release those endorphins. So be very careful with your conduct when you're in someone's home and you want to share things.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, do you have in your book, because I don't have a copy of the beautiful book that she has in her side, and then you see it behind her, there's a transformative etiquette. So make sure you claim your book. Now, do you have in your book, because I have not read your book, a list of conversational icebreakers?
Actually, we have a number of different things, not particularly a list, but of course, I advise the topics that you should avoid. Of course, everyone says politics, religion. However, it's anything that you know that can be controversial. For example, a family gathering, okay, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you know that what you're about to say is going to hurt someone's feelings. You don't want to do that. You don't want to throw anyone under the bus. If certain things need to be discussed in private, then do so. Just be very careful. I mean, everything can be thrown away if you bring up a topic or anything that is controversial or that may cause a person to feel awkward. And we want to avoid that.
You know, and nowadays there's so much cancel culture going on, and bringing up a controversial topic may even cost more than what it used to be before.
Yes.
I mean, I remember growing up in my household, controversial topics were very much welcomed and we didn't care. But, you know, as I've gotten older and I've seen the sensitivity, like if you mentioned this or you mentioned that, and I've wondered, you know, like when we come together as a family, we normally talk about, you know, how are you doing? How have you been? What's going on in your life? That type of thing. But then somebody brings up a topic and we go with it. And it's important. And it's funny because as I've gotten older, I've been able to listen to topics that I don't necessarily agree with, but that's their opinion. And I'm okay with that. To take them on across the table would be disrespectful to the host, right?
Absolutely. And it's just as bad as social media. If you don't agree with something, it's okay to disagree, because we all have different opinions, different mindsets, different personalities. It's okay to disagree. Respect their opinion. However, don't go into a battle with them, especially in public, whether it's on social media or right in front of other family members or friends. That's just rude. That's definitely not proper etiquette.
Yeah. So let's talk about other proper etiquette that may have been gone. Maybe we weren't taught. Maybe I wasn't even taught. What are some of the must knows in life to get through life, you know, feeling like, okay, you've pretty much have proper behavior?
Absolutely. And it's so interesting how folks use the phrase common courtesy loosely, or common sense, because courtesy is not common these days in our society, in the international society, to put it frankly. And just the simple things as if someone holds the door open for you, say thank you, acknowledge it. Rather, even as adults, we just walk through at times, not me, of course, and I'm sure not you, but there are enough folks who do not extend that common courtesy. Another thing is we have to take time as adults, we have to take time to teach our children. Yeah, our children. Not everyone, of course, there are always some children who are so well behaved, but there are enough who are not being taught the basic, the essential etiquette protocols. And that is causing us to be in disarray in society because they just don't know. So we have to let them know it's important to extend those common courtesies, to use your common sense in many cases. Sometimes you don't even have to ask, how should I conduct myself in this environment? You just think about it. It's common sense at times, and simply being concerned about your neighbor, making sure that everything you do will impact them, understanding that everything you do will impact the person or persons in your presence one way or the other. Now you make that decision. How are you going to behave? How would you like to impact them? And that's the question that many people do not ask themselves. They just act. And that's our challenge.
Yeah, it is. It is. And especially nowadays, I've been behind people that don't hold the door open or even the elevator. And, with the pandemic and the way the situation was where everybody was afraid of cooties and germs, things have continued on where people don't even want you in the elevator anymore.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes like the other day, I was going up my elevator and the person said, no, go ahead. Because I said, would you like to come in? And they said, no, go ahead. I have, whatever they were going to do. And so I went up. And so I thought, okay, well, I asked and they decided they didn't want to come into the elevator. But there are situations where people see you coming and they close the elevator because they don't want you to come in. Or they're in a hurry and they don't want you to be sharing a ride.
Exactly. Or you're walking into a building behind someone and they open the door and close it right after them with you walking to, I'm like, okay. And so we do have to take a moment as fellow human beings to consider our conduct and consider how it will impact the other person. And I think if we all do that, we will be in a better place as far as being kind to each other, being loving, being considerate. We would be in a better place.
Kindness. I think that's a really good word to focus on, is just being kind.
Yes.
I know that even when I drive and people need to cut in or people cut me off or whatever, or people allow me to go in. Let me just put it this way. When people allow me to cut in front of them, I always thank them. I always say thank you. And there's that hand and I wave and I say thank you. I mouth it, like when they let me in front of them. But there are so many people. Yes. Oh, I didn't even think of that one. But there are so many people who you let in and they don't even look at you. So I go, okay, well, no big deal. I don't make a big deal about it. I'm a very patient driver, so to speak. I don't understand road rage, although I have seen it.
You're blessed.
I don't understand it because I always say they're by the grace of God. I mean, I probably have done it inadvertently, so I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt. But is it proper to say thank you when somebody lets you cut in front and line and all of that?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if you know the individual or if you've interacted with them before or not. Once courtesy is extended to you, it is your job, one, as an effective communicator, and another, as a kind person and a person who's well-mannered, to extend that gratitude, whether it's a thumbs up, whether it's this. Now, it's very important for you to be careful when you're extending that gratitude to someone in traffic. Make sure those fingers are together when you stick it out the window, because you don't want that one finger to be the only one out there, because people interpret things differently. That's and offense could take place immediately. Hence, road rage that happens quite often. So be very conscious of how you're expressing that gratitude to this individual who doesn't know you, but they're just being kind to you.
Very good. So what are other things that are basic needs that people should know today?
Okay, so let's talk about handshaking. Woo! Effective communication. That is a huge part of effective communication, especially in the American culture and in most English-speaking cultures, because we have different cultures. In Muslim culture, it's common that the man will not shake a lady's hands and so forth. And cultures are different. They're not weird. They're just different. So we have to appreciate and respect differences in culture. However, in the American culture and most English-speaking cultures, that handshake is extended. However, you'd be surprised of how many adults I've taught this technique and this exercise, and they don't know how to give a firm handshake. That is professionalism 101. A firm handshake opens doors of opportunities. It heightens my interest in you. Once I shake your hand, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Or I could say, oh, my goodness. It all depends. Yeah. Wah. So we have to take the time to learn that technique and teach our children that technique, because when they first day of school, They step up to their teacher, shake their hand and say, hello, how are you? I'm happy to be in your class. It's like, oh my gosh, teacher's pet for the rest of the year. You get straight A's, so those kind of things. Effective communication, I've seen to be a lack in many cases. And so we need to capitalize on that because that's a huge part of etiquette.
Very good. Very good. And for those of you who have a question for our etiquette expert, Jackie Vernon-Thompson, please type in a Q and write your question down, and we'll get to it before we finish the class today. And if you'd like a copy of her book called Transformative Etiquette, there it is. We're going to be giving away one hardback and one paperback on April 21st, 2023. So if you want your copy, text me your name and let me know that this is the book you want, because we have several book giveaways right now. 407-373-5959, and we will put your name in the winner's basket, and we will draw two names out on April 21st, 2023.
Awesome.
Also, go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
Didn't want to cut you off. Just one more thing as far as just throwing out some etiquette protocols. Oh, our ladies. It's so important to know the objective of a lady is to keep her legs closed, of course. And we have to remember that just because you're a female doesn't automatically make you a lady. So a lady demonstrates herself in a ladylike manner. She does things in a ladylike manner. She chooses her words properly. A lady doesn't walk around spewing profanity. So there are so many things, so many indications that you are a lady. One of the things that I teach to our ladies and our young girls is how to enter and exit a car. That is a huge deal. You place your legs together and you swing them in together or swing them out together. We definitely don't want to have one leg in and the other leg is sitting out there on the pavement waiting to be flown in. We want to make sure that we swing our legs in and swing our legs out together. Same as when you're sitting. We don't cross our legs knee over knee. We cross our ankles. And so we want to make sure that we try everything possible not to expose ourselves as ladies. And just keep in mind, if you decide that you're a lady, understand that your conduct tells me you're a lady. You don't tell me verbally, your conduct tells me you're a lady. And of course, the same thing for gentlemen.
So say more. So they cross their legs on their ankles? Is that what you mean? Or?
No, not the guys.
They do the same thing? Okay.
No, not the gentlemen. Okay, so it's very important for us to teach our gentlemen chivalry, because chivalry is not dead. There are many, many guys who hold that door open, who pull out that chair, but there are enough who don't. And that's the challenge. So taking the time to teach our gentlemen that when, especially my young students in elementary school, hey, when mommy comes to pick you up today, open that door for mommy. Say, oh, mommy, I'll get that for you. Allow her in the car so she can feel special, because she's super special. And pull out that chair for grandma when you all go out to dinner. And it's all those nuances that we definitely need to take the time to teach our boys. And of course, escorting a lady. We only escort on the left. We never escort a lady on the right. She's on your left, and generally, most people are right-handed. So you use the stronger arm to open the doors, pull out the chairs, do the things you need to do. But escorting on the left, it always makes me giggle a bit when I'm watching a wedding and the bride is being escorted on the right, or the bridegroom are escorted on the right. I'm like, they didn't call me.
The things everybody's going, I wonder what Jackie's thinking right now. What would Jackie do? Okay, so with that in mind, I heard, and this is the proper etiquette that I heard, and maybe this is a different scenario, but when a gentleman is escorting a lady down a street, they are on the side of where the cars are coming to protect the lady.
Absolutely. That's his That's his purpose, to protect her, to take care of her, to make sure she's good before he is. So if you're walking down the street, of course, that escorting her on the left is no longer in play, because you, the gentleman, would walk on the side of the danger or the possible danger, and she walks on the inside, so you're protecting her. Of course, we don't want him to be struck by a car or anything like that. If something is happening, yeah, he can push her over it, and the two of them could jump into the bushes or whatever. But it's pretty difficult if she's walking alongside the traffic and he's in the protective position to pull her in. So always walk on, even if you're walking in a parking lot. She walks alongside the parked cars, you walk alongside the traffic. It goes without saying. If you're coming down the stairs, you walk in front of her 1 or 2 steps, just in case she falls, you break her fall.
Poor guys.
Yes.
They are our speed bumps. That's what men are.
Exactly. Even when you're in a restaurant, you allow her to order first. Essentially, you're making sure that she's satisfied, she's good, and then you go ahead and do you. So it's kind of a, wow, what about me? Well, it's about her first.
Interesting.
And that's old school.
So my mom always taught me to wait until the host orders, and that you never order anything above what the host orders. How is that is that part of etiquette, or that was my mom's plan to keep us at a lower rate?
It is. When you're in a group, when you're with other guests and there is a host, you pay close attention to the host. You pay close attention to when they order, when they begin to eat, how much they have, the pace they eat. You don't want to be a slow eater when the host is finished like 10 minutes ago and you're still going through your plate. No, you pay attention to her or his pace, and then you eat along with that person. So if you really think about it, a properly trained individual in a restaurant, a server, will not serve a course until the one course is over. So if you're still eating that soup, if you're still eating that entree, and everyone else is ready for the dessert, including the host, they have to literally sit there and wait for you. And that's not proper etiquette. So you pay attention to the pace, you keep up, and you try to just work along with the host, pay close attention. So your mom was absolutely correct.
So now, because I've noticed some people, when you eat something that's raw, like a salad or anything to that effect, and you're chewing effectively so that your digestion starts in the mouth. What if the host is eating too fast and just swallowing this food? What do you do?
That's
then?
a problem.
That is a problem. Especially when you focus on health and wellness. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Exactly. I got a dilemma here. Do I gobble it down and eat fast, or do I?
No, you would not eat fast, because then we're talking about your health.
And Heimlich. We will need a Heimlich.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So what you do is you pay attention to the majority. If the host is like way out,
Okay.
pay attention to the majority of the guests.
Good.
Yes, the majority of the guests, and more than likely they're not all eating fast. So pay attention to the majority, the pace of the majority. So you would finish about the same time they are finished, so the next course can be served.
Very good. So before I start, because I noticed that there's some cues, so I want to ask some questions from the audience. But before we do that, I want, for those of you who would like more information about Jackie Vernon-Thompson, and you are a subscriber to whenyouneedafriend.com, if you go there and you're a subscriber, you have all her information. You have the place where you can click on. If you click on her name, it will take you to From the Inside Out SOE.com. And but while you're there, if you're not a subscriber, please like and follow me and subscribe to my website, because that is a great place where we start learning how to take ownership and responsibility, which is what Jackie is talking about today, is learning proper ownership and responsibility for actions and being kind and courteous. And so if you would like to be a part of this movement that we're creating, spirit, mind, and body, healthy bodies, spirit, mind, and body, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please subscribe. While you're there, please like and follow and all social media, and make sure that you are reaching out to our sponsors, support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. Make sure that you check out my Shop Now bag and check out Lilly approved products that are safe from the head to the toe, and will keep you away from, if you have pain, manage pain without any drugs or anything that could cause harm to your body long term. So go to the Shop Now bag. You can also go to our workshops. And I mentioned earlier that on April 21st, we're going to have the I Am the Solution workshop, and that is continuing education of the soul and the spirit and the mind. Many people spend a lot of money with continuing education for their careers, and they don't even think anything of it. But when it comes to the spirit, the mind, the heart, and that's where disease begins, with the thought, and then it also becomes a feeling, and then it becomes an action, and then that's how your genes express themselves. And that's when you get that call saying, oh, you've got this and you need to take this pill. We don't believe that here. So we believe that you can prevent and you can reverse naturally, because our bodies are so forgiving, because God made our bodies perfect. And so I want to encourage you that if you want to spend a weekend getting to know what drives you and motivates you, doing things that you may or may not want to do, it's a great weekend to spend with yourself and learning about God, learning about who you are. So please consider it. We have one spot left, and it could be yours. And so that's go to whenyouneedafriend.com, click on the pop-up. We have other workshops. Go to the workshop button. They're do-it-yourselves and how to take your health back and your life back. And then last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. So whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month, or it's a single donation of whatever you can afford, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure, all of it is very much appreciated, and I'm grateful for everything. As you know, costs have gone up with everything, and the classroom, because of some of the topics that we discuss about health and wellness, are not the same kind of conversations that are brought to you by the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry. It's important that you share this video, share it with all your friends, and share it with your children too, so they can know that there are proper ways of being and different ways of showing up, and those different ways of showing up will help impact your future and your children's future and your children's children's future. So this is the gift that keeps on giving. So we are giving away. So Jackie Vernon-Thompson, her website is From the Inside Out, SOE.com, and she's giving away 2 books. One of them is a hard copy, and the other one is a paperback copy of her book, Transformative Etiquette. And let me tell you, going to an event and not knowing where to sit, what to eat, how to eat it, is embarrassing, and it could cause social anxiety. And so one of the reasons that we reached out to Jackie is we wanted to make sure that we take care of ourselves, we love ourselves in a way that our parents' generation and the generation before that they knew this intuitively, but we've lost that intuition. And so I want to thank you, Jackie, for coming onto the show today to share this wonderful art of etiquette that you so proudly share among the children and adults. Tell us about your classes that you have and some of the events that you have coming up soon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you again, Lillian. So definitely, we teach our children and adults. Let's revert really quick to the table etiquette, because that's a big deal for many people. We teach American and continental style, because there are 2 different ways of dining, and their confidence is boosted as soon as the class is completed, because they've learned how to conduct themselves. And of course, adults too, because we have business meetings over lunch, over dinner. And so we teach that American and continental style, which can be also called European style. and helping them to understand that your conduct in this environment is paramount because it can make or break a deal. And so that's a big thing that we do teach.
Now, when somebody comes in to you, and I know that you have a 5-week course and it's pretty intensive, do you get a book when you start your course? Do you have like documentation to help, follow up and learn and grow some more? Because I know you train people, right?
Absolutely. We certify individuals.
Certified individuals. That's what I meant to
Yes.
say.
We have etiquette consultants internationally, over 190 etiquette consultants who have established their own etiquette business. And it's such a beautiful thing. It is a 5-week course via Zoom. That is how we're able to do it internationally. And so we will meet Monday and Thursday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and learn all things etiquette. They, of course, receive a copy of my book. That's our manual in a formal form. And so they learn all things etiquette. We go over everything. They also learn how to create PowerPoint presentations to teach their students. It is not just words on a slide. I teach them how to create presentations that will stimulate the minds of the students, that will interest them and keep their attention, because most of those students want to fall asleep. So those slides need to stimulate them. It needs to be filled with colors and images, not cartoon and all that. So I teach them how to effectively create those presentations. I also teach them how to teach on Zoom, because I want them to have that option in person and virtual, because that's the world we're in now. If you have a business and it is just a local a segment of it, then you definitely need to go virtual as well. So I teach them that. At the end of the 5 weeks, they receive their certification and they are confident in how to teach various topics, not just table etiquette, greeting and communicating effectively, sitting and walking gracefully, chivalry, business etiquette, and the list goes on. They are even certified as tea etiquette consultants. So we teach that as well. So it's a full pack class, and they're just elated. So many times they feel like, I don't want the class to end. I'm like, you gotta go. But
I love you, but
yeah,
no, here's
I
the door.
love you, but you gotta go. So right now we started a class last Monday. We have 26 individuals in this class.
Wow.
And it's just been growing. God has blessed it tremendously. And when I say it's international, it is international. Our previous class, we had a young lady from Pakistan, and she was right on it, even though many times we've had students from Africa, from all over. They will awake at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock, just to be in that class. That's how I know they're going to be successful.
Yeah, I had in my workshop that I've done in the past, I've had people from Australia, South Africa, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning when we were done. And I'm like, that this is something they truly desire when somebody is actually waking up that early or staying up that late, so to speak, because when they started, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. So that was our Friday night. And I didn't know if they were going to make it, but they did. And they were great. Okay. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
My pleasure.
Think this is really exciting. It just makes me, when I see people with proper etiquette, not that I'm judging or looking for it, especially young people. When you're an adult, you can act the way you want to act. But when you see children growing up and you don't see them knowing, it's disheartening. It really is, because I know the parents are setting their children up for failure. They really are. And we really don't. And being self-conscious, because that's, the first 3 years of your life, you're like free, you can do no harm. But then all of a sudden you start being corrected and the ego starts setting in. And then all of a sudden they become very self-conscious that they don't fit in, they don't belong. And having these courses. Now, do you teach these at schools? The school system, can you become like a consultant to the school system to teach this class? How did you get into the school system in Fort Lauderdale in that area?
Absolutely. It was, and that's a great question, because we are approved vendors for Broward and Dade County, which is Miami public school system. So we're in and out of the schools consistently. And I can tell you, it was like really easy for us to get in there, because once they learned that it was an etiquette school, they're like, approval.
Oh, good. Okay. Well,
Yes.
maybe I'll look into this, because it's something dear to my heart. It really is. Now, while we were talking before we went on the air, you told me we were talking about glass of water. Was there something that you wanted to show us when it comes to holding our glass?
Absolutely. When you're holding a stem glass, it is very important for you to hold it at the stem. You do not hold the glass at the body, the bowl of the glass, because more than likely your hand is going to change the temperature of the beverage.
Mm-hmm.
It may warm the beverage. Unless it's intentional, you always hold at the stem of the glass. When you're drinking, look into the glass to pay attention to the flow of the beverage to prevent spillage.
That's why I get to ice cubes all over my face, especially when I'm trying to drink. My husband is driving and he brakes at the moment when I'm going this way and the ice falls on my face. Not
Absolutely. Good. So always look into the glass or the cup, even if you're drinking tea. Look in, take your sip and place it down. Another thing for our ladies, if you're wearing lipstick, if the lipstick is imprinted on the rim, be sure to drink from that same area. You don't want your lipstick all over the rim of the glass. That's not proper etiquette. So drink from that same area and keep that kind of messy thing right there.
Just confine it to one spot. Okay.
Exactly.
Very good. What are other things that are important to talk about today? Because I want as much information that you can share today. And, I do have a question, but
yes.
Let me, I haven't even read the question because I've been so engaged with what you say. What if you believe that coding them is enabling them? Coding them. Is it coddling them? Maybe that's what it says. Coddling them is enabling them. We have to draw a line when they want something bad for them, like beer or cigarettes. Should we get them or just say no? I don't know where that's coming from.
Well, that's pretty easy to answer.
Maybe I can't read the whole thing. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what this is, but I didn't even read it beforehand, so I apologize to that. But why don't you go ahead and I'll read others. Share what are other things that are important before the end of this class today? What are some other things that we need to know? We may not know.
Yes, a very simple statement. The way you dress tells the public how to address you. The way you show up in public makes a big deal. It makes a difference. Whether you show up wearing clothes as if you don't care, others will treat you as if you don't care. When you prepare your hair, you prepare your clothes are not wrinkled, they're not dirty or don't have spots all over them. When you show up as if you care and as if you took time in the mirror to prepare yourself because you know you're going out in public, you will receive that respect. You'll receive that treatment that says, hey, let's have a conversation. We should always consider the fact that there are opportunities out there. Yeah. Even if you're in Walmart, you're in Target, it doesn't matter. There are individuals with opportunities. And get this, Lillian, we need people. So if you feel that you can just go out there and people should just accept you the way you are, that's not the case. We don't have to, because opportunities do not die. They simply move on to the next person ready to take it. Mm-hmm. So if you show up seemingly like you're not ready for that opportunity, the next person will get it. So always consider the message, the nonverbal message you're sending to the public before you walk out that door. You look in the mirror, which message is this sending? If you know it's a good message, head on out. If you have a question about it, head to the closet and change, because you're non-verbally communicating when you step out those doors.
Great point. And I have had people that I've coached that have complained about their children and their dress and the way they're dressing. Mm-hmm. And so my question is always the same. Who's buying the clothes? And it's usually the parents.
Yeah.
So what is your advice for parents who aren't parenting these days?
Perspective. What is your perspective of parenting? The true perspective, or what needs to be considered, is that parenting doesn't necessarily involve being your child's friend. Many of our parents are so focused on being the child's friend. Oh, I don't want them to get upset at me. I want them to be able to talk to me. Yes, that child can talk to you. However, you can always discipline that child, correct that child in a way where they feel, okay, yeah, that was wrong, mom. I'm sorry. That was wrong, dad. I'm sorry. And you still have that open communication. We cannot be that yes, 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 yes parent and expect to have a successful child in society. It doesn't work that way. You can't have your cake and eat it too. There are times you have to say, nope, that's not the best thing for you, and be okay with that. There are times we have to administer discipline. No one is saying abuse or anything to that respect. Discipline meaning that wasn't the correct way to do that. What was the correct way? And in many cases, the child will answer that question. They just want to see how far they can go with you. And so as parents, we have to be able to say, no, that's not the correct way to do it. This is the correct way. And sometimes it's okay. You explain why it's the correct way, because effective communication is necessary, and an understanding, because we're in a society where these children want to understand why you're saying no. So it's okay to go that extra mile, but let's get back in the position of fathering and being the mother, being the leader, and instructing that child and giving them the information that they need to make better choices. That's the bottom line.
I love it. When I was a young mother, I didn't need to be my kids' friends. I was their mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't apologize for that. And I was a very loving mother and a protective mother, and sometimes too protective. And I've gone back to apologize to them for that. So I've mopped up the mess, so to speak. But when they, like I said, I wanted to be their mom. That's what I was created for. And that's why they came out of me, because I needed to mother them and show them right from wrong, like my mom taught me. But as my kids have gotten older, my baby's 33.
Wow.
I want to be their friend now. I don't need to mother them anymore. And so we will have time. And I just want to say, I just felt like as you were talking, it's what came to my heart, that we will have time to be their friends.
Yes.
But we can be loving parents. We don't have to be mean or nasty about it.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And we can explain, why is it yes? Why is it no? And to take that time to explain, if they don't like it, that's fine. That's fine. Someday they will quote you to their kids. I remember the first time I said something to my child and I went, "Mommy, where are you?" It's like it came out. I channeled my mom, and all of a sudden I became my mom. And so, but we will have time to be their friends. And that's what I strive for now. I don't need to be their mom, although I love it when they call me because they want my advice. But I really just want to be their friend today.
Yes. There's a time and a place. And that's why the word says, train up a child in the way they should go. Point blank, that's our job. However, we have so many children who are just lost and broken. And in respect of the brokenness, one of the classes that I teach is increasing self-esteem, because we have so many children who are not confident in any environment, because they're not taught to love themselves. They're not taught to make choices that shows they love themselves. They're not that no one says, you're beautiful, you're handsome, you have greatness in you. They don't hear that sometimes at home. Not everyone, of course, but enough. And in any given class, sometimes I feel like I want to start crying because our children are so lost, and it is not their fault. It is the adults in their lives who are just not helping them. And that's
Obviously.
where my heart is broken
Mhm.
when I deal with these children, because they are so broken. And without sounding like a broken record, that word broken, a broken child, without it being addressed, becomes a broken adult. And that's where the main problem is.
And I want to add to that. I want to add to that where it's hope. This classroom is all about hope. And I always say, when I coach people, when they tell me that their spirit is broken, I tell them the spirit is never broken. The spirit is always whole. They might think they're broken, but the spirit is always whole. And I just want to thank you for caring for our children, teaching them to love themselves in a way that God would want us to love ourselves. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and for those of you, we got the 2 books, so text, and we will pick them on the 21st, and hopefully it is you. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Jackie Vernon-Thompson wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
Ever!
Awesome. Hold on.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so I am looking, we've asked all the questions that you might have. I know that I want you guys to share this video. This is so important. Thank you so much, Jackie, for being on the show today, because
My
this
pleasure.
is so important. And I hope that maybe someday our paths will cross, because you're in Florida. You're a Florida girl. I'm a Florida girl. And maybe we can meet somewhere halfway, and maybe create something different and new as well. Maybe do something
Absolutely.
together, because it's really important that the brokenness of a parent can be transferred to a child. And it's like, it gets worse. It just gets worse.
Mhm.
It doesn't get better unless that child or that person is a generational pattern shifter. And they
Right.
say, I learned what not to do from my parents. I want to learn what to do. And that's where I come in. And that's where I help people along the way. And I hope that people will tune in and go to whenyounneedafriend.com and check out the I Am the Solution workshop. And by the way, the I am is the God in us. I am the solution. The solution is an acronym to help us, that God in us, God and I
love that.
are an overwhelming majority. So please consider joining us on April 21st. Get your seat, book it for the front row. Any final things before we go? Any final words?
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me. As you mentioned, please visit us at www.fromtheinsideoutsoe.com. Our email is info@fromtheinsideoutsoe.com. We're on all social media platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Just type our name and you will find us. We are excited to conduct virtual or in-person classes with you. We also have an online cafe. So if you're that type who loves that self-paced online course, go ahead, head over to our website. We have a plethora of topics that you can access even in the midnight hour on our website.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Thank you all for watching today. I hope that you will, and I'm not hoping, I ask that you share this information with your friends, your family, people you love, your children, your grandchildren, because we all need to learn this information. Whether you decide to do it or not, that's up to you, but at least have the opportunity to be curious instead of critical, and see how little something simple like knowing where the bread plate is. I will teach my grandchildren this. Will set you free and it'll keep away from that anxiety, that awkward look. Okay, where's my plate? Where's my glass? Where's my plate? Where's my glass? You'll know what to do. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. We'll see you next week. Bye. Here we go.